Hi everyone, it's Karen Finch from Legally Yours. I'm back with Scott Simmons from Legal Balance, and we're here to basically talk about the final thing in our business development sort of little teaser series. So we've already talked about objection handling, which was the one that we did just the one before this one. We've talked about cross-selling and a little bit amongst that about sort of the mindset that you need to, I guess, approach these initial consultations with your clients and business development with your clients. Now, this one's all about the important closing, because I think lawyers, a lot of lawyers that I know are really, really, really bad at closing. And it's often because they've done all this beautiful work within that initial consultation. They've done all the call, and then it's kind of like they almost just want to rush off. Okay. Will you let me know if you're interested, and I'll wait for you to give me a call back. And, that's it. Almost because then they're assuming that the client's probably going to walk away and never call them back. Maybe. Maybe. So what is closing? Talk us a little bit about that, and then we'll go into, how can we get it right?
Okay. So closing is getting a commitment from the prospective client or your existing client.
Yes.
Now, when I say getting a commitment, closing isn't always about winning the work. It's about getting the client to make a decision, but it's also about knowing when to close down the conversation. It's about knowing, how to strengthen the relationship if they are a good fit, but the time hasn't worked out right. So that when the time is right, they're going to come to you.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side, it's closing that conversation down, moving the prospect on because they aren't a good fit, suggesting an alternative solution, and that could include using a different lawyer.
Okay. I like it. Nice and succinct, and I get it now on both sides. So what's the key to closing in the right way? What's the
right?
Key?
Okay. So here's where it gets really interesting. I don't know if you've heard of BANT in closing terms. Okay. So BANT is budget, authority, need, and timing. And people have been talking about BANT for years, okay? So essentially, budget. Have you had the right discussion with them so that you know what their budget is, you know that they can afford your services, and you know what you might be working with?
Yes.
Okay, so have you told them your price? Have they shown that an interest in it? Have they, put an objection up? Once you're there, fine, you've covered that off. Then we've got authority. Authority is, are you dealing with the right person?
Yeah.
Then you've got need. Do they really need it? Have they shown you in the conversation, if you ask the right questions that shows that this is really, really important to them, that it's going to make a difference to them, that it's going to add value to them? Yeah. Fine. So then you've got need. And the last one is timing. Is the timing right? Is the time scale working for them? Do they need it right now? Okay, so traditionally that's what we've worked off. And the thinking is, if you've covered all of them off, budget, authority, need, and timing,
yeah,
that's when you ask for the commitment. That's when you say, okay, fine, can we go ahead? Yeah. Actually, there are two more.
Okay.
Enterprise and relationship. So actually, it's not BANT, it's banter. Banter. Okay, that's a really, really good way of thinking about it.
Love what you did there.
Really proud of myself for that one. So there's also enterprise, which is, do they know your law firm? Do they know enough about your law firm to feel confident of using you and your colleagues? If they don't, why not? Remember that, most of the time when you're dealing with prospects and clients, they should do the talking, but you do get an opportunity to do a bit of talking about your business. And that comes in around the kind of objection handling stage of the conversation.
Yeah.
But if they know your business, and you may have sent them information about it as well to give them an idea of the sort of transactions that you work on, if they're happy with that, the last one's relationship. Do they like you? Yeah. Have you built rapport with them?
Yes.
Have you understood them? Ultimately, does it feel like a good fit on an individual basis? If the client feels that it's a good fit and all of the other 5 are in play as well, you know you're in a good position to close them off.
Yes. Yes. I love it. So banter. There you go. You've got it there. I love it. And what about in this scenario where perhaps the timing was just not right now, but they indicated in that conversation that the timing could be, you know what, I'm probably not ready to actually commit right now, but in a month's time, you know, that's when I'm going to have that pressing need to push forward. As the lawyer, should you leave it then in their court? How do you then deal with, talk to me a little bit about that follow-up, because I think, you know, so that's when sort of lawyers start to feel like they're a bit dirty sales, if they're sort of trying to sort of say, well, if it's not for right now, absolutely no stress at all. How about I touch base with you in X amount of time? Would that be okay? Is that the right way to do that?
Okay, so this is really important because follow-up is so important. Yeah. And I'm a huge advocate. I'm a huge proponent of using CRM.
Yes.
Because if you're doing this regularly enough, just working off your calendar isn't going to work. Remember that every detail of a conversation that you have with a client, you should be making notes of, you should be keeping records of, and you have to do what you say you are going to do. So if a client says to you, we're not there quite yet, but in a month's time, we're going to want to go ahead. Okay. If you wait for them to call you, something might happen. Something might happen and they might get distracted, or somebody else might contact them. And then all of a sudden they're in a conversation with another law firm.
Yeah.
But if you're doing what you say you do, okay, Karen, it doesn't work. It's not right for you. You know, you're not ready right now. If you say you're ready in a month, how about I give you a call just to see where you are and see if you're ready to get things moving then. You tell me, okay, yes, your then only responsibility is to make sure that you make that call in a month's time.
Yes.
And I had a conversation with somebody, and what had happened was they'd gone out for a meet, they'd met up and had a conversation. And actually, what this was me talking to this person about the importance of CRM. And I was saying to them, do you remember a client that you spoke to about 9 to 12 months ago? Yes. Do you remember where you met? Not exactly. It was either in a meeting or at lunch. Do you remember what you said? No, I can't remember exactly what was said. Okay, fine. Do you remember if you made notes? Well, if I made notes, it's in one of my notebooks. Okay, fine. Would you go and find that notebook and find those notes? Goes off, gone for about 10 minutes, comes back. Yeah, I've looked through 3 notebooks. I can't find anything. We must have gone out for lunch. Okay, fine. He calls up that client. Turns out they haven't spoken in 18 months. It wasn't 9 months to 12 months. It was 18 months. Yeah. This is where it gets even worse. Client says to him, do you remember that conversation we had about that thing that we were thinking about doing? Starts coming back to him. Yeah, well, actually, we pressed the button on it about 6 months after you and I met. At the time, we said we were going to have a catch up in 3 months. You were going to give me a call. You never did. And just by chance, our tax advisor happened to say to us, we've got a lawyer that we know who specializes in this area. Just have a chat with him. Had a chat with this lawyer. He was absolutely excellent. And we went ahead with them instead. The lawyer that I'm working with says to him, oh, how much did they charge you? It's 150 grand in fees, Karen. Right. I had no idea that this conversation was going to go that way. It made my point, which was make sure that every single conversation you have is noted down, preferably in a CRM. And in your CRM, you have the relevant follow-up, which was call him back in 3 months, set up the reminder.
Absolutely.
Follow-up is massively, massively important.
Yes.
Because it shows the client that they can that when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it.
Absolutely. That follow through is the easiest way to show trust in a relationship and reliability, because, to not do it, it just shows them, well, either they're not interested in my business, or they weren't really that interested in me, or I can't rely on them. But when you follow through and you actually do as you say, it's incredible. I used to do it when I was a baby lawyer, and I still remember people saying, oh, I can't believe that you actually called me back when you said. And I used to think, oh my God, these poor clients are so used to being treated so badly and not having lawyers to rely on them, that really all they had to do to delight my clients was to call when I said. And all that was setting a notification in my CRM to say, call back so-and-so today, call back so-and-so today. Just incredible. So Scott, just really quickly, what are some of the biggest closing mistakes that you hear or see lawyers make during this closing process?
Right, okay. So the three that you see the most: number one, discounting the importance of that scoping call.
Yeah.
So your scoping call is the most important part of the selling process. If you get that right, if you ask all the right questions, if you provide the right insights, you'll be the most likely person to win that work. So a classic example of this that I see all the time is Inconveniencing.
Yeah.
Someone phones up, we're buying a property for £350,000. The lawyer instantly shoots back with, okay, well, our fee will be £700. And the client goes, whoa, hold on a second, there's more to this. Don't you want to know what that is? We have to remember how important it is to ask all of those questions. And sometimes we fall into this trap of just going, I've got enough information before I actually do.
Yeah.
Never forget the importance of letting the client speak. So that's number one. Number two, here's the biggie, Karen, is actually not asking for what you want. So we go through this entire process and then we don't actually tell them that we want to work with them.
Right.
And what it's going to cost and all of this sort of stuff. So it might sound like common sense, but as we have noted and as we have seen throughout our careers, it doesn't happen enough.
Yes.
The reason for that is that we fear rejection.
Yeah.
So we kind of soften that approach, soften the language, so that we almost leave it up to the client to say, okay, I want to go ahead.
Yeah.
But sometimes you've just got to tell the client what you want, and you've got to be really clear about it. You can't go around, for example, saying, I'm calling just to check, whether you have any questions about the proposal that I sent over. No, what you want to be saying to them is, I'm calling, I just wanted to check, will you be signing and sending back the proposal today?
Yes.
That's really what you want to do. So that's number two, not asking for what you want.
Yeah.
Number three, and I've got to tell you, Karen, even I'm guilty of this, and you'll probably know that because we speak a lot. Talking too much. Number three, talking too much. So you're there, you're talking with the client, you've gone through the process, you've dealt with any objections that they have, and then you just keep going. The client's ready to go, and then you keep talking. You keep checking that they're okay. You just keep saying, and all of a sudden, you put doubt into their mind.
Yeah.
And you get the client thinking, oh, hold on, should I make this decision now or should I go away and think about it? The most important thing you can do is actually keep quiet. Really, really important. You've gone through that. You've gone through that process. You've dealt with the objection. You've answered their questions. You've left it to them. Wrap up the conversation, end that meeting.
Yeah.
Number three, don't talk too much.
I love it. So just quickly, so there's don't talk too much, ask what you actually want them to do. So be specific. And the third one
was making sure that you have that proper scoping discovery call.
I love it. I love it. There you go. Well, Scott, I have loved filming this series of videos. We talked about cross-selling. We talked about objection handling, and now we've talked about closing. We must do more of these. If this is something that you want to delve more into and learn the art of these conversations so that it becomes natural, and you're trying it time and time again, and it's, there you go, you're closing and you're objection handling and you're cross-selling as a natural process, you can head to legalbalance.co.uk. You can find all these incredible programs and workshops that Scott runs. And if you're a progressive lawyer or you're curious about the things that we've been talking about, you're based in Australia and you would like to be part of a community where we talk about these things all the time, and you can network, connect, and business development with other lawyers who talk like this and do things the same way, legallyyours.com.au. I've loved filming with you, Scott. We'll do something together again very soon.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.